And that's it. That's how you do some periodic maintenance. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Rowdy DB, and we back at it with the Hey Bike villain. So if you watched last week's video, you would have already known that I was going to be doing this video. Definitely go watch that. I still have the giveaway going on with the ANYLAND Rev Pro bike. All you got to do is click on the first link in my description to enter, and make sure you watch the whole video. So we're finally doing the 300-mile review on this bike. So as you see there, we got 347 miles on it. A little over 300 miles is a decent amount of miles to put on an e-bike, especially a little dirt bike. So this is basically all the tools you need. A ratchet, whether it's 3/8 or it's 1/2 inch, with an 18mm socket, 15mm. This is going to be for the head of the front axle bolt, and then it also takes that 18 on the other side for the nut, and then the 14 is going to be for the rear head of the axle bolt, and then the 18 as well for the nut. The 3/8 is for these adjusters. They're not 10mm, they're just a little bit smaller, so you could use a 10mm wrench. Just be careful, because if you're tightening it, you could strip it a little bit. And then if you have one of these chain cleaners, my chain isn't too bad. I wish I had some nice chain lube degreaser that I can spray on there, or even if you got some chain grease or chain lube, it's always nice to put it on after the ride, because the chain is hot and it'll absorb it into all the crevices while it's hot. I also forgot I don't have a tire inflator, but I do remember last time I did these tires, I put them at 15 psi. And most dirt bikes, especially these sizes, you want to put the dirt bike tires or the 2 psi at 15 psi, give or take, because it's good for a little bit of traction, but it's also not super pumped up. If you are running supermoto wheels, or if you are riding these type of tires on the road a whole lot more than the dirt, I would put it more at like 20 to 22 psi. You do want something that's a little bit stiffer on the road. So what we're gonna do now to get out of the way is check the brake pads. And I got good brake pads there. You can see it's not this outer piece right here, it's the inner. And it looks like it's got a lot of meat left. I don't really use my rears as much. I use the fronts a lot more. If you could see in there, the same thing. It's not the outer part, it's that inner. And it does look a little bit smaller as far as the brake pad itself is a little bit smaller than what we got in the back. So yeah, that does make sense. I do use the fronts a lot more. So it does look like probably in another 200 to 300 miles, I'll probably need some new brake pads. Okay, the next easy maintenance thing to do, you got a toolkit that came with the Hey Bike. It's all Allen keys, a screwdriver, whatnot. Basically, use that to tighten up everything. The 8mm bolts up here on the handlebars, basically just go all around and just make sure they're tight. I'm not gonna bore you with every little bolt, but there's Allen heads everywhere. There's 8mm, there's Allen heads on the risers, even on this rear sprocket. If you can just get a little bit, anything, just to make sure that they're tight, because again, these are made in China, so they don't take too much care, and there's not so much Loctite in the mix. To be completely honest, with my experience between the e-bikes and gas bikes seem to vibrate a whole lot more basically from the engine, and some of those bigger gas bikes don't have counterweights in the motor, so it's a little bit, there's always a lot of vibration and things fall out. I haven't noticed anything fall out or get loose on this thing yet, but just always make sure you're good, because you don't want to be riding down the road and out of nowhere the wheel just starts riding away. Alright, so now since we basically covered tire pressure, we covered the brakes look good. The only other thing we really have to look at is the chain slack. When doing the chain on a dirt bike, you don't want to do it on a stand. You want it to be on the ground where it's already having its own weight on the chain, and then you want to put your slack. Now since we got the bike on the ground, you can see how much slack we have. And this is a little bit more than what I want. Another way that you can kind of test the slack is everybody does weigh a little bit different. I'm at 160, 165 pounds. So when you go to sit on the bike, the chain will stretch a little bit to compensate for the travel. Now I got my weight on it. Go to grab the chain, chain's pretty tight. So it could be a little bit tighter than that, so I will adjust it just a little bit more, because this chain is new. I put 300 miles on it. It has stretched a little bit, so I am just going to tighten it up a little bit more, but it seems like it's doing pretty good, and I probably don't have to touch it much more. Just kind of lube it up after every other ride or so. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to loosen this up. We're going to put our 14 on the other side, holding the head of the bolt, and just start loosening it up. All right, so you don't need to take it all the way off when you're doing the chain. Just loosen it enough to where the axle is nice and loose. Now what we want to do, we want to make sure these are like measurements. So wherever this is at, this plate piece where it hits that head of the bolt, you want to match it on the other side. So right now it looks like we're at the 1, 2, a little light on the second mark. We're just a little light on second mark. And where are we at here? We're a little light on the second mark. So we seem to be good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna loosen up the nut, which is locking the bolt in there. And then once the nut is loose, you wanna loosen up the bolt so the head of it comes out a little bit to extend the swing arm a little bit to tighten up the chain. So if I push it forward a little bit, you can see the chain's a little loose, but as it pulls back a little bit, it'll get tighter. So grab your 3/8 or your 10 mil, whatever you got. It was a little stiff to get in there with a 3/8. But yep, you get that loose. It is really stiff. Maybe I might have to just use the 10 mil. So look, you get that loose, and then what we're gonna do is give it a couple turns. 2, 3, and 4. So that was basically like 2 full turns out. We're gonna do the same thing here. I already got this somewhat loose. You get that loose, and we're gonna do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So right now we are dead middle in that second tooth mark. And where are we here? We are dead middle in this tooth mark. All right, so now since we got both of those matched up, now this is the way I do it. What I do now is I like to tighten up the rear axle and then tighten up those nuts. All you got to do is tighten up the nut to stop the bolt from moving, because the bolt is the only thing that moves that rear axle back and forth. And I can tell my chain is a lot tighter, and I can definitely tell as soon as I sit on it with my weight, it'll be a little bit tighter, but it does have that free play that it needs. You do want an inch, give or take, both ways on that bottom chain with the slack. Go ahead and grab the 18 mil and the 14 mil wrench, and just go ahead and tighten that down again. If you do have a torque wrench and you do want to get crazy with it, you could probably torque it down to about 45 to 50 foot-pounds. That's usually what these little pit bikes go to, but I kind of know how it feels, so you do want to get a good amount on it where it's nice and tight. And now since the rear axle is nice and tight, you can go ahead and go back to these nuts.
These nuts?
I just realized what I said there.
Oh shit. Got him!
And just go ahead and tighten them up. Don't go too crazy. Go crazy! Go stupid! If you are using a 10 mil, don't go too crazy on it. Go crazy! Just make sure you're nice and tight, because you don't want to strip it, because then it's going to be a little harder to do it again later. Same thing on this side. Tighten it up, hand tight, and then just get the wrench on there. And that's it. You just did some periodic maintenance for your HEYBIKE Villain. And that wasn't much, because it is an e-bike. It's not a dirt bike where you got to do the oil. You got to make sure your gas is good. Everything else is looking good. If you watched the whole video, I really appreciate it. The support really does mean a lot. I'm still doing the giveaway, and I'm actually thinking about getting some vinyl wrap and wrapping up the plastics and making a video on it. I've seen some other e-bikes that have been wrapped up and they look really cool. So I'm kind of stuck between 3 different colors. I'm not going to tell you the color just yet, but I think that's going to look really cool. I do like the red, but I would like to spice it up a little bit. Again, if you did watch the whole video, I really appreciate it. We're making some content. We're getting some things done on the HEYBIKE. ANYLAND, we're doing the giveaway, doing the big bore kit. TRX is just sitting there, staying covered, holding some water. If you haven't watched my video that I posted last week, I'm asking for ideas as far as some other video ideas that I could be doing on the YouTube channel. I do have a couple other ideas. I'm not going to say it until I post them. Stay tuned to the giveaway. If you want to know how to enter the giveaway, hit the first link in my description. I'm Rowdy DB. I'm Rowdy DB, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.